Greetings and salutations, and welcome to the Rant Squad. I am the Water Dog. This is
Jordan,
and our buddy Brendan is date nighting. What a guy!
I know.
Date night.
I know.
Date night.
Pitiful. When we're trying to talk football.
Football on date night.
Crazy.
We're doing our game picks, brother, and if you want to keep track with us, that's our scores and our right now for who we picked. And Clint still got a little bit of a lead here on us, and we're getting rolling into what I think is going to be a really big weekend of football. A lot of good games here. We're going to start down here in good old Texas. We got Miami at Houston. Brendan's going with Houston.
Okay.
Talking about the Texans. I'm saying that they've got holes.
I've agreed with you. We've had this conversation.
And the holes are really starting to come about. And Miami right now is playing really good football.
Miami does look good.
And Miami, I think, is going to win this game. And I think Houston needs this game. But I don't think they're going to get this game. And I think even though they're coming off the bye, I think the momentum right now is still with Miami. I got to go Miami.
So I agree. When I initially looked at this game, I definitely think, especially when you consider Houston's faults, Miami should be able to torch them. They've got a healthy Waddle, a healthy Hill, a healthy Devon Achane. But I something when I was looking at this game, and I'm like, it's at home, it's off the bye. I think Miko knows how much this team needs it because they need a big win. And you got to realize they also got to go. We got to go play Kansas City and Baltimore our next two games. I don't know if we can go. We can't afford to go. Well, actually, we can't afford to go 0-3 as long as I've looked at the math, but I think Houston, this is a must win. I think they know. I think they need to get going. And I'm picking Houston. I think the Dolphins probably will even be favored. If I was a bet man, I bet Miami would be favored even though they're playing in Houston just because of how well they are playing with Tua. But Houston needs this. I think this is a desperation time win. It's sad to say that it's a desperation win when you're 8-5, but they need it.
This is a Joe Mixon game.
Yes, they need to slow down that Miami offense.
They need a Joe Mixon game. They need 150 yards from Joe. He needs 25 touches in this game, and if they can do that,
no mistakes.
If they can do that, then I think they have a shot at winning it. But I just think,
and he should be fresh.
I just think that Miami's passing game is just
it's scary. I agree.
Torch up that secondary.
I agree. We've got to slow
and they're
them
going to
down.
be playing behind the ball. And if they're playing behind the ball,
they're going to want to pass.
Stroud's going to be passing, and Stroud looks frustrated here a little bit, so that's where I'm looking at him. All right, let's do this one. You got Indianapolis at Denver. Brendan's going to go with Denver. Indianapolis needs this game. They're very much like Houston.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we're talking about, they're just a couple of games back. If they can, get 3 of these next 4 games, because the Houston schedule, as you've already said, is very tough. There's a good chance that Houston could end up only 9-8. There's a really good chance that can happen. Yeah. But I just think Denver's playing really good football. I just think they're playing, outstanding football. I think they're better coached. Okay? I think Bo Nix, we didn't talk about him in the previous video, but
he's absolutely an offensive candidate. He's had a better second half of the year than Jane Daniels. Absolutely.
Yes. And so I definitely think that if you're asking me, rookie of the year candidate, I know it's Brock Bowers. I just think it's Brock Bowers.
Yeah, but then my second choice
right there. Yeah, it would be my second pick. So I got to go Denver this game.
It's a clean sweep. I mean, Denver, I think they're a better team. Indianapolis still has a lot of holes. And Anthony Richardson, it's what do you get? Do you get 60% completion with a big arm, or do you get 35% completion and can't hit an open guy to save his life? The one advantage for Indy is they are coming off the bye. Is Denver coming off the bye as well? I can't remember.
I think so.
So both teams come off bye, and this is at home, and it's in Denver. So this isn't a hard one for me. It's Denver.
All righty, let's do it to it, man. This is the game I've got on record already.
Oh my God!
already punched it in. It's on record. We got Buffalo at Detroit. Buffalo coming off of that loss against the Rams in that really great game.
It was a great game.
Where Josh Allen has 3 rushing touchdowns, 3 passing touchdowns.
David is all.
Brendan's going Detroit. I have been on the Detroit bandwagon since preseason. I said I'm not going to ever pick against Detroit this year, and I'm sticking with it. Detroit at home. One of the good things about this game, I think, for Detroit is its motivation for them to keep playing strong. I think that's the key. It's motivation for them to keep playing strong. Where, you might worry about that a little bit, but that not that. Who you got?
I'm going with the bounce back. I'm going Buffalo. I like the upset. I think Josh Allen. They just played a game where he played his heart out and they lost. And I think that team's going to refocus. I think that loss is going to help them against the Rams, and I think it's going to give them the drive they need to go into the playoffs. And mark my words, if they beat Detroit, Buffalo's going to the Super Bowl.
I think they still might can go to the Super Bowl.
They can, but I think this is one of those games to me that can just catapult you. And especially when you're coming off a heartbreak and such a hard loss to deal with, they gave everything they could, and their defense just could not get a stop so that they could still win.
Stafford's been on fire, man.
Stafford's doing great.
Stafford has just been playing phenomenal.
That division race is going to be exciting for the NFC West.
Oh yeah, we're going to be talking about that pretty soon here too. Okay, all righty. Another good game. This one's also on record, by the way. Okay, I'm serious. I've got 3 games on record, and we're going to talk about all 3 of them.
All right, well, we're off the roll.
Okay, so here we go. We got Pittsburgh, Philadelphia, and Brendan's going to go with Pittsburgh. And man, this was a tough one for me to decide because right now, I think if you look at this past Sunday for Philadelphia as a hiccup,
It was.
I don't think that they played their best football.
No, but they played. They did what they needed to win.
They needed to do to win. So to me, it was just not because they have been shining so brightly here.
Yes.
The weeks going into that game, and maybe because it's Carolina, maybe you get a little bit of a letdown. You feel like you should win that game, that type of thing, and everything. And so maybe you have that. But Pittsburgh, man, I don't know. I just think there's just something about this season.
That's
to me, if you're asking me right now in the NFL, the team I don't want to play, if I'm Kansas City, if I'm Buffalo, if I'm Detroit, if I'm Philadelphia, I don't want to play the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Okay, that's
because the Steelers can run it.
They can.
They can throw it over the top as long as you got George Pickens, which is a question mark in this game.
I don't think he's playing.
I know, which I said is going to be a question mark in this particular game. So you can throw it over the top, okay? Russell Wilson is, man, the one thing I did notice in the game this past weekend against the ability to move in the pocket. He just looks really, really good, and everything else. And then their defense can make plays. And then they've got probably right now the best kicker in the game. Right now, Boswell is just lighting it up. If I'm winning one of them teams, I don't want to play Pittsburgh. And if I'm Philadelphia coming off of a bad game, and also there's a lot of chit-chat going on this week amongst the players, Pittsburgh.
I think Philly's going to be locked in. They still have a chance for the number 1 seed. They need Detroit to take an L. And Detroit they haven't been, don't get me wrong. I thought Green Bay might get them. That was an exciting game on Thursday night last week. But I think Philly will be locked back in. This is an interstate rivalry game. I think Philly will figure it out, and I think it's going to be a really good game. And I like Philly to pull it out at the end because I think this is going to be an A.J. Brown game.
Okay.
A little squeaky wheel.
I think sometime next week when we get into after this weekend, we actually get a chance to see how things are going to settle. I want us to look at the Vikings' remaining schedule and the Eagles' remaining schedule. See which one of those 2 teams you think is going to have a better shot and maybe taking that number 1 spot from Detroit.
It's Philly because they still play the Commanders again and they still play Dallas again. And the Giants. I think the Giants. I think their last 3 games are all divisional rival games.
All righty. Let's go to the 3rd game I'm going to record. It's already set. This is the beautiful thing about my TV setup, man.
Beautiful.
Because there are certain games I just want to watch. Because I'm not like a red zone guy, where I don't like it. I don't want to have to try to follow 20 different games. I just want to follow the one story arc. And the other great thing about it, recording, you can just get the commercials and just get the end. So there you go. But this is it, brother. I'm gonna love watching this one. It's gonna be Tampa Bay at the Los Angeles Chargers. Brendan's going Tampa Bay. And now both these teams have been kind of on an upswing here lately. And Tampa needed to get some wins, and they got them.
And they needed Atlanta to lose.
And they needed Atlanta to lose, and Atlanta has played bad for 4 weeks. I'm really kind of shocked at that one. That one's the one that really shocked me.
Rough. They're calling for Penix already.
But you know what? I've been saying this. If Tampa Bay makes the playoffs, Baker Mayfield is my MVP of the season. If you get Tampa Bay into the playoffs with as many injuries as they've had and all of the turnover that they've had on the roster and everything else, and keep that team motivated, and especially when you look at their schedule. And by the way, Tampa Bay has beaten Detroit.
And Philly.
And if I'm one of those two teams and Tampa Bay's making the playoffs, that's another team I don't want to have to play.
Yeah.
Okay?
They play hard.
Because Baker's the wild card.
Yeah.
I got to go Tampa Bay, man. Who you got?
I like Tampa Bay. I do. It's hard because the Chargers played really well against the Chiefs, especially in the second half this past week. And they've been on a really good upswing. Herbert's looked good, but they didn't have Lad McConkey. That definitely hurt. The offense really struggled to get going. It's definitely hurting not having J.K. Dobbins, who had been a consistent running force for them. And Tampa Bay's just on the upswing. I think they're riding a high. They know if they win out, they win the division. Because right now, they are in control of their destiny. They have. It was crazy that they lost those 2 tight games against Atlanta early in the season, but they've overcome that. And they just need to keep
That's the 2 best
riding.
games Atlanta's played all year, too.
Yeah.
The 2 best games, and the 2 best games that Kirk Cousins has played all year long.
It's a shame, and that's what's crazy. Had Tampa Bay won one of them, this division wouldn't be close.
Yeah.
You'd have an extra game, but Tampa Bay, they've got to finish with a better record to
And
make
they've got a
playoffs
tough
over Atlanta.
schedule.
They do, but they can do it. Tampa Bay.
All righty, here we go. The last of the 6-pack, brother. Green Bay at Seattle. Brendan's going Green Bay. And I'm going to go Seattle. I just think the Seahawks are just playing better football than any other team in the West. I just do. Especially when you look at the West, they're beating all these guys.
They are.
And they won again this week. And so Green Bay has had some bumps and bites, and they're a little bit up and down here over the last 4 weeks. And Seattle is playing at home.
I don't know if I'd say they've been up and down. They beat Miami. I mean, they just barely lost to Detroit.
Well, that's an up and down.
I wouldn't call that up and down.
You lose, you win one, you lose one.
No, that's not.
Hey, there was a lot of people that picked Green Bay to beat Detroit. A lot of people that picked Green Bay to beat Detroit.
They had an opportunity to.
Okay? And didn't come out with
No,
that.
they
Okay?
didn't.
And so, yeah, okay? And Miami still almost won that game, too. Miami had chances to win that game.
But good NFL games were close.
Seattle is at home.
That's a big factor, no doubt.
I like Seattle.
That's fair. That's fair. I'm going to roll with Green Bay. I like the Packers. I like Jordan Love. I think they're going to get Jaden Reed involved this week after dropping a goose egg. But if Seattle wins this will really make it look good for their division race. Although I was watching that I think they reported that if Seattle, even if they win the next 3 weeks, it could all come down to the Rams in Seattle in Week 18. And if the Rams win out, they win the division. That's what's crazy.
Well, that's why this Thursday night game is going to be big. Who do you like at the 49ers Rams?
Man.
I mean, there were so many good games, and I wanted to put the Texans in there.
Yeah.
And so,
man, that's a tough one. I don't know. I've lost faith in the 49ers, if you can believe it.
they're playing in San Francisco, and San Francisco played a really good game this past
They did,
week,
but
and Brock Purdy
they're not
looked
going
great.
to. I think Guerrero, he's hurt again, so they're going to be on their 4th or 5th running back. Debo something's off with Debo this
He's
year.
been hurt.
They can't get him involved. Kittle is their only consistent. I like the Rams are playing for their playoff lives. So are the Niners. Don't get me wrong, but the Niners don't have an easy path. They've got to win and have a lot of help from teams playing Seattle and playing against LA. I think LA is going to win it
I like the Rams too in that game, but in the matchup that we're supposed to be talking about, it's
still
Seattle.
It's Green Bay. It's Green Bay. I've had faith every time. I think they've won every time I've picked them this year.
You might be true. You might be true on that, brother.
So I'm going to roll with them.
All righty, gang. That's all we got time for, brother. We've been the Rant Squad. I'm the Water Dog. This is
Clint Jordan.
Gang, we out of here.